Welcome to Ginny's, where East meets West, and a slice of Eastern philosophy becomes a part of Western thinking. I'm your host, Ginny Gong. Today's show focuses on a local family with not one, but two child prodigies. How common is this phenomena? Is it genetic or environmental? My first guest is the youngest woman to graduate from a four-year college in the 20th century. She never went to middle school or high school, and after completing her bachelor's degree in behavioral sciences at the age of 14, she received her master's in technology management at the University of Maryland at the age of 16 and an MBA at the age of 17. Her brother Alex went to Johns Hopkins University at the age of 11. Join me in welcoming this brilliant young woman with an IQ of 210, Sophia Saeed. Welcome, Sophia.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
Wow, what an impressive record. You look perfectly normal to me. How, what do kids think of someone who has all of these, the high IQ and this academic success?
Well, because I'm fairly normal, I guess. Like, I don't have that third arm growing out of my head or anything like that. They pretty much see me as just somebody that they can approach, someone that they could even look up to at times, and that's something that I try to uphold my own self to.
Well, I guess normal is just something on a spectrum, right?
Yeah,
I mean, how do we even define what normal is?
True.
Now, how did you know that you were different? Or did you know?
I think from a very young age, early childhood for sure, it seemed that my brother and I were always kind of ahead of the other kids in the neighborhood, even physical development-wise and that sort of thing. So we started to see the differences very early.
And how early is that about?
Oh, wow. Pretty much since I could remember. I mean, I would always hang out with my brother's friends because, he's older than I am, and his friends could kind of meet me a little bit more intellectually and physically. So I would say.
How much older is your brother than you are?
4.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as a student I guess you did attend kindergarten, first grade. You skipped second.
Skipped second,
Went to third grade. Did you go to fourth?
I did go to fourth and fifth at a GT program.
Okay. How do teachers know at that time, that you're exceptional? Were there tests that you went through? I mean, because they're always bright kids.
True. I think that some of the teachers were able to recognize my intelligence, and that's why they were able to bump me up to that GT program. But the majority of them, it seemed like they really didn't know where to begin. So we were very fortunate to have the opportunity to go to college early and really study at our level.
Is that something that you recommend to others? Because obviously going to college, how old were you when you went to college?
10.
10. Okay, here you are, 10 years old. You're, going to classes with kids that are 20, possibly someone like my son who's 23. How do you feel about that?
I always felt very comfortable with them, especially since intellectually so and maturity-wise, we were kind of on the same level. Plus, it was really cool that they could drive. And I, of course, I didn't have a car or anything, but...
Not at 10?
Not at 10, no, sadly not.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a wonderful experience, and they were very curious about me, I think. They asked me tons of questions. It's like every day was an interview. But we had a good time.
And would you recommend this to other kids at the age of 10, if they were just as bright?
I think that everyone has their own path, and some might be able to handle it and they could do very well, while others, more of a traditional academic setting and structure would be good for them. But ultimately, I think whatever brings out the best in a child, that's what they should be true to.
I was a classroom teacher for 16 years, and, it is sometimes much more than just academics.
Yes.
Maybe emotionally they can't handle, that type of an environment. But obviously, at the age of 10, you were probably more mature than some of those other kids there. And it was a good thing for you.
Definitely.
Was it a good thing for your brother at the age of 11 to go to Johns Hopkins?
I believe so. I think he definitely has an old soul. So when he went there, he was able to really just, take on all of those challenges and really grow a lot.
And his name is Alex.
Yes.
And so he had a nickname, right?
Yeah, they used to call him Smart Alex and the Real Doogie Howser, because that show was really popular back then. So. Yeah.
Now, you have an IQ of 210. How unique is that?
I would say that having an IQ of 210 is pretty unique, but it's more of what you do with that IQ that really sets you apart.
So what is normal? What do most of us, I never did ask what mine is, what do most of us have in the range?
I think mostly between maybe 100, 120 or so.
Okay. Wow, so 210, you're in a league of your own.
So
What
it
percent of
seems.
the population do you know, is that high?
It's probably fairly slim. I actually haven't done any research on that. I just try to go about my life as normal. So
What's normal in terms of being a teenager? Now you're how old?
22.
Okay, so at the age of 12, 13, 14, were you a typical teenager? Did you get grounded? Did you did you do those things that teenagers do?
Oh my goodness, very much so. I mean, we'd go to the mall and spend all hours going to every shop for no reason, and just hanging out and going bowling and going to the swimming pool and everything. So it was very much normal in that respect. But I think what was a little different was just the school that I went to. So, I had my neighborhood friends, but then I'd go to school at college and really be met more so intellectually there.
So when you were in a regular school, were you bored? Did teachers go out of their way to try to accommodate you? What was school like?
I would say that it wasn't completely challenging to me. And
You're being kind.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, it definitely had its perks, and it was fun at times to be around other students around my age. But as far as the curriculum goes, we always had supplemental education at home. My parents were constantly teaching us before and after school, and in very fun ways. So we never really got bored with that. And I think that's what really helped us to grow intellectually.
So you would go to school, come home,
Yeah.
and have these fun intellectual games that your parents
Pretty
would
much every day, but it was great. It was great. I still have a lot of fond memories. My dad used to put all of these SAT words up on the ceiling, and we'd sit there with our legs up and look up at the words and memorize them and memorize the meaning. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
I try some of these things, putting things on the refrigerator door, but my kids keep taking them down.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, so this was something that you remember throughout your childhood
yeah,
growing up,
definitely.
as part of enforcing, reinforcing some of these concepts. Wow, that's great. Because I'm going to actually get a chance to ask your dad some of these questions.
yeah.
When you went to college at the age of 10, there's a big difference. You had to come home, and
Yeah.
kids were living on campus.
Right.
Did that impact you at all?
I think that I had a very fulfilling campus life experience. It was cool because I could go there and hang out, and the occasional...
At 10, you would hang out?
Well, by the time I was in university, I was 12, 13, 14, a little bit older and everything. So, I'd go over there on the Maryland campus, and, we'd hang out, go to the food court, the occasional party every once in a while. But it was great because I could go home at the end of the day and be with my loving family. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. I got to have that exciting campus life experience, minus a lot of that unnecessary drama that can sometimes happen.
So while other kids are at home watching Sesame Street when they were growing up, let me ask you, were you watching Jeopardy and trying to answer those questions?
Every single day. We even went out and got the Nintendo game for Jeopardy. And I mean, that was a lot of fun because it really challenged us. And we're also quite a fan, actually, of the Wheel of Fortune games, too.
So were you allowed to watch TV growing up?
We watched a lot of TV. Oh, my goodness. We really did. But we also got out a lot, too. So it was a good mix between the two.
Other types of experiences besides just reading books. Did you read a lot growing up?
We did read. We would go to the library and check out like 75 books at a time on 2-3 different library cards, and we'd just scatter them around, and whatever interested us, we'd pick it up and start reading it. But my mom especially really believed in having balanced kids, so we'd go to Korean school and taekwondo and piano lessons, art lessons, and so that's what really I remember a lot growing up.
So what do you attribute your academic success to?
I would say that that's fourfold. First of all, the blessings of God, the support of my family, a lot of hard work for sure, and excellent opportunities.
Like what? What are some of the opportunities that have come your way?
Especially being able to go to college early, I think that was a huge step for us. A place that could really begin to challenge us more so on our level. And that opened me up to a whole nother plane of my ability. So that was the biggest opportunity for us.
So in college, does age make a difference? Because certainly, there are some students that are enrolled that are seniors and others. Do people really take a look at how old you might be?
Well, when you're 4'9" with pink glasses and a headband, I mean, it's a little hard to miss. But I think mostly, like, when you can meet eye to eye with somebody intellectually, then there's not too much difference, and you're able to connect with that person well.
Okay.
So,
and yet you can still be a typical girl.
of course.
Of course. You look really great.
Thank you.
What are you doing now?
Right now, my family and I have started an after-school learning program for kids. It's called I Am Smart Learning Centers, and this is located in Gaithersburg. And what we really want to do is share all of the secrets, all of the developmental and educational techniques that my parents has used on us when we were children. Of course, refined and improved, but being able to give that to all the parents of today so that they can make their children as successful as possible as well.
Now, would you be working with students themselves, or would you be working with parents?
Mostly with the students, but we want to integrate the parent back into the children's education.
And how does your mother fit into all of this? I know a lot of it. Your dad has really spent quality time working with you. What does she think about all of this? Is this unique?
I would say so. She's very excited and very proud of us. And she definitely wants to be a part of it all. She's always been there to nurture us and give us everything that we could, make sure that we're well-rounded. So
let me ask you, is it genetics or is it environmental?
I would say a little of both. Definitely a little of both.
Well, if it wasn't genetics, it would be very ironic that we have two in one family.
True,
right?
Very true.
And yet at the same time, if it's just environmental, it could has anything confirmed for you which one it might be more of?
I would say mostly environmental, because I know how hard that my parents really worked. They've done tons of studying to see what would be best for the children, and they were constantly applying these techniques. And they really poured themselves out into us, and I think that really is what a lot of the success comes from.
Let's talk a little bit about your parents.
Sure.
Are they both immigrants?
They are. They both came from other countries and met at a college library at the photocopy machine. And then, they came together and they had a lot in common as far as what was really in their heart, culturally speaking even, what they valued. And so that came together quite nicely, and they had us, and here we are.
And you're a wonderful mix of two cultures.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about those cultures, and what do you identify with more?
Well, my mom is Korean. She's from a small island south of the mainland called Jeju. And my dad is from the Punjabi region in like the India-Pakistan area. And I would say, since we went to Korean school a lot, we probably identify a little bit more with my mom's culture. We visit Korea often, and we really feel that that's a part of who we are. But we're also very culturally diverse, and we're here in the United States, and we're Americans. We're very proud to be American. But we're also very happy to embrace our roots.
You speak Korean?
A little bit.
Okay.
조금.
Now, we just talked before the show started about your brother.
Right.
And speaking of diversity, right, he just, I guess not recently, or he's married.
He is married.
And he has a child, and his wife is European, right?
Yeah.
Blonde hair, blue-eyed. So you really do have quite a bit of diversity in your family.
Definitely.
Now let's go to the last kind of question I want to ask you. Would you recommend the kind of life that you had, okay, skipping and whatnot? Would you recommend this to someone who is really study hard? Okay, they really pour their soul, they study, they do well. Is it a wise thing to skip classes?
I think that if they're able to handle it emotionally, and if they definitely have the intellect to do it, and if they have the opportunity to do it, then they should go for it as much as they can. If they have the right support network in place as well. So it could be something that could really change their life and give them that oomph that they really need to be their best.
Well, thank you very much, Sophia, for sharing your extraordinary experiences with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break.
nature, we see reflections of our children. The tree is the strong one, the ocean rambunctious and untamed. Like our children, each brings something wonderful and unique. They add color, they bring life. And to choose the sky over the water would be like choosing one child over the next. EarthShare, the world's leading environmental groups working together. To learn how you and your employer can help, visit our website.
This is the story about a group of kids who volunteered.
Doing something nice for someone.
We fixed stuff.
Did some art projects with the kids.
We fixed up his house.
We worked in the woods.
Cleaned up the park.
Did something for the planet.
We just did it.
No other reason. And you know what? It was great.
At first, they didn't know each other.
Well, that didn't last long.
This guy is really funny.
These are my new friends.
Are you into it?
Call 4-H or check out our website at areyouintoit.com.
Welcome back to Ginny's, where East meets West. You've met Sophia Saeed, who along with her brother Alex are examples of child prodigies, children whose academic success far surpass those of their peers. Let's meet the man who believes that genetics certainly plays a significant role, but some aspect of the prodigy phenomena is created. He is committed to helping parents enhance their children's academic performance. Join me in welcoming Sophia's father, Alex Saeed. Welcome, Alex, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, how proud you must be of both your children. Let's talk a little bit about your childhood, okay? What was your childhood like, and you grew up where?
I grew up back in India, and I think it was my mother who actually lured us into this educational kind of thing. I was about 5 years old, and there was a radio show going on. One of the children was very bright, and she heard it. She said, "Wow, how lucky is the woman who has a child like that?" I was only 5 years old, and I didn't know. I thought maybe that's what it is. So in my mind, I said, "Okay, all right, Mom, I'm going to make you happy."
You're going to make her proud.
Exactly.
Asian guilt.
That's right.
It works all the time.
So that's how it began.
Wow.
And my dad was pretty quite a bit intellectual, and he was an attorney also.
So your dad was quite bright?
Yes.
Okay.
And our grandfather, he was working the Glasgow University, did some research on blood pressure. Queen Victoria had given her some gold bricks and all that to recognize his services. So that's where we got all that stuff.
So you come from a long line of people who have been academically quite successful.
We were very lucky in that respect.
Right, and you had this guilt placed on you to make sure that you were successful as well.
That's right, exactly.
And now you're passing it down, right?
To our little ones.
To your kids. I'm only kidding, though.
Right.
You really must be proud. Your wife is not here. Sophia indicated that your wife is Korean. What about her childhood? Did she grow up with the same kind of background?
Yeah, she has 6 sisters, 1 brother. They're all PhDs, engineers, lawyers.
Well, there.
And she was one of them too. She's a registered nurse, though, when she came in this country, and is working in Holy Cross Hospital here in Silver Spring.
Wow.
And she was very bright also.
Mm-hmm. So here we have 2 parents who, seem to come from families that really place a lot of value on academic success, which is not so unusual. We have a lot of Asian American families who focus on academic success. And yet you have 2 children who have done phenomenally well. How do you explain that?
Coming from a little ambitious family somehow, when we come from the East, what happens is that there are some kind of burning desires, and we bring those things here, implant them in West, and then the results show up, because this is a country of a lot of diversity, and then we have quite a bit of land of plenty and all the opportunities. So we work hard because it's the first generation. They compare it with what we have on the other side of the world, and then that brings results.
So have you ever thought about what some of your guiding principles are in raising your children? I want to learn.
Yeah, right,
Somewhere
right.
I kind of missed a few of them, I think.
I think it all begins with 3 months before Alex was to be born. I talked to one of the scientists, and he said if you put something like a sound, speakers on the stomach, and the child learns, the IQ gets a little better because neurons, they have more connections with one another. I went there, talked to him. He said, now if you put 4 or 5 of them together, there's more confusion for the child. The child has a more challenging time to find out where the thing is coming from.
Okay.
And that increases the IQ in the
Okay,
beginning.
so before the child is born, you put speakers
Yes.
around
The belly of the mom.
Okay, and you just sort of
It stays there. And then
and this information kind of seeps in.
yeah, you put a lot of different languages, a lot of different musics. The child tries to figure out, this sound is coming. Have I heard this sound before? So that's where the things, that's where it accumulates.
Now, in some countries, Alex, when you have children who do exceptionally well, they're sent to special government schools, and the government sometimes trains them, to be whatever. What do you think about that?
I think the question is, are the governments really capable enough to understand how to really raise the child, or is just because they are doing it on a broad spectrum? Like they take the children and say, all right, put them in these homes, these schools, and then train them. But I think when an individual parent has something little different, there's more motivation when the child is one's own child.
Sure.
And if the IQ of the parent happens to be a little better, education is there, time is there, and some facilities, love.
Right, the love, the comfort of home.
Yes. So all those things add up. As a matter of fact, one modern scientist said that in our case, 5 or 6 things got together. The time was there, the motivation was there, the IQ was there, intellectual capabilities, education. The mom was working while the father was concentrating on the children. And all these factors got together. The money was there, the time was there.
Did you know your IQ? Do you know your wife's IQ? It's just curious to me.
Normal IQ is like 100, 120. Mental coefficient divided by physical multiplied by 100. So if it's 10 years old child, 10 cuts with 10 to give 1 multiplied by 100 is 100 IQ is a normal IQ.
Okay.
And then there are some tests that are performed on what the IQs are. For Alex, it was 175. For Sophia, it was 210. Johns Hopkins University, their gifted talented programs, they were the ones who did all that.
Wow.
It's they told me it's 1 in 2 billions that have an IQ of 210.
Now, I know that you're very interested in imparting this kind of experience to other parents and other students. So you're working on some project with Sophia, and she mentioned that you're doing an after-school program. When will that start, and how do you anticipate moving forward, as my last question?
We already have that. There are like 10 students already, but we intend to bring it to quite a bit of high level.
Okay, so you're working on this already?
We are working on that.
Okay.
And pretty soon we intend to franchise it and give it to bring it to the level of like Sylvan, Huntington, all those.
Wow, we all need help. We all need to learn from you and your wife, because It's absolutely amazing.
I think
how
I was lucky that I met my wife. We were at that photocopy machine in the college university. And somehow they said there is a Eastern beauty that's in the
Wow.
class.
What a wonderful story, and what a great place for us to put a close to this show. Thank you so much for sharing, your wonderful success with us, really.
You're welcome.
That concludes our show for today. I'd like to express my appreciation to Sophia and Alex Saeed for sharing their family success stories with us. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Stay well, and we'll see you next time.